You are listening to Not Just Hemingway Podcast, the weekly podcast about short fiction from all around the globe. This is episode 6. Let's keep it short. Let's get started. Hi everybody, welcome to the show. If this is your first time listening to Not Just Hemingway Podcast, then thanks for coming. I'm Juka, and today my guest is Åsa Ågren. Did I pronounce it correctly?
No, you didn't. It's Åsa.
Åsa Ågren.
Yes, no.
Åsa Ågren. You're a literary consultant and writer. You've lived in quite a few countries, and you've now finally settled down in Germany with 2 kids and 3 cats. I assume a husband, but that might be too straightforward.
No, I'm a single mom.
Single mom. I don't envy single moms, but gosh, that's well done you. Your first young adult novel, Nordland, was written in Swedish and will also be published in German soon, right?
Yes.
And then on top of that all, you also help aspiring writers with manuscript refining and overcoming writer's block.
Yes, that's right.
Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Yes. Thank you for, obviously people can hear it. You're not in the studio, we're calling you, we have you on the phone, but I'm glad the connection is good. Talking about writing and reading, since reading is such an individual and personal experience, I wonder, when and where do you prefer reading a short story?
Well, I have my precious mornings. It's the time before the day gets started. I need this half an hour just with myself, just with my coffee cup. I've given the cats their breakfast, they are happy, the kids are still asleep. And then I just enjoy my time, and then I usually have time to read a short story. And then after that, you kickstart the kids, you kickstart yourself, and the day just go on with the craziness that everyday life is.
Does it have to... Is it a goal? Like, is the goal to relax? Is it a goal to kickstart?
It's a goal to relax, to calm down, to have... Because, I don't know if you're a mother yourself.
Yes. That's why I'm like, how do you do that in the morning? How?
Usually during the day, you're always on top of everything, and there's so little time for yourself to just assemble your thoughts and calm down. I really need to recharge my batteries because I got 2 grumpy kids in the morning, and they are not happy getting wake up.
So this is your sanctuary in the morning?
Yes, it is, for sure.
Okay.
I'm too tired in the evenings. I read in the evenings as well, but it's not with the same attentiveness to actually be able to enjoy it, to sing.
Yeah, no, I get it. My kids know I can't love anybody after 7 p.m. Like, it's done, it's over, energy's out. Anyway, so what should a short story then do? Give you that mental space?
I am a little bit of an entertainer freak. I like puzzles and thrills and punchlines. I'm not very fond of those very modern short stories that were written in the 70s. I know Alice Munro, she got the Nobel Prize in 2013, and her work is supposed to be brilliant, and I bought a whole book with her short stories, and I didn't like them.
Okay, we should...
And I felt awful because I didn't like them.
So people who do like Alice Munro, just, go humming for 3, 4, 5 seconds. They're beautifully written. They are beautifully written. And they don't do anything for me.
I'm glad I'm not the only one, because you feel like, I'm a writer, I studied literature, I really need to like a Nobel Prize winner. But I feel with her work, she gives you a glimpse in someone's lives, in an episode, in a character. She sets the scene, and then she leaves you alone with it, and that is very, very frustrating for me. It's like she's experimenting with her own writing, and she just tries it out of me, and I don't like it.
No,
I wanted to have something collected. I want to feel satisfied after reading it. That I got a bit fooled, or I got twisted around. So I guess I prefer the old-fashioned stuff, or just something romantic, or
Okay, so now I always ask writers to nominate a short story, and ideally it's a short story from an author we don't know, or from a country we haven't been, or in a language we haven't read yet. And you decided upon Sebastian and the Troll by Frederik Backman. And Frederik Backman is the author that was sort of launched into fame with A Man Called Ove.
Yes.
Now, the story is available online and on the website www.notjusthemingway.com. There will be a link, and also in the podcast notes there will be a link to this story. Now, before we go deeper into it, why did you nominate this story? Is there any link with your work as a young adult writer?
No, not at all. There's a troll, and I write about Nordic mythology. But when you first asked me to nominate a story, my first thought was, of course, I should get something out of the classic book, something we've all been reading in school, something we've been analyzing with our Swedish teacher. And there are a bunch of those short stories, and you can find some of them translated into English. I mean, there's a very famous one, and you even mentioned it yourself. It's called To Kill a Child.
Yes.
It's a very, very good short story about, it's very good company. But no one reads Stig Dagerman. Why not take a writer who is actually, you could find something from him in the bookstore.
Somebody who's still alive.
And he's still alive, and he's still writing. And I really enjoy Frederik Backman's story, and I really enjoy listening to him. He seems such a great guy. No, this story just appealed to me because it's discussing depression, it's discussing suicidal thoughts.
Don't give it away. Don't. Anyway, you've already done it.
I thought it was an important topic.
Yeah. No, that's why I asked you, is there a link with young adult? Because initially you've given it away. The title is Sebastian and the Troll, and it's so straightforward. It's about Sebastian, it's about a troll. But then, when you start reading, I don't know anything about Nordic mythology, by the way. I should be reading Neil Gaiman, but I haven't as yet.
Well, there are trolls there.
Are there trolls?
but not like the Lord of the Rings trolls.
So.
The Swedish and Norwegian trolls were creatures living in the forest, and they used to steal babies.
A bit like Ronja. Oh gosh, how would that be translated?
Yeah, like a little bit like Ronja Rövardotter.
Yeah, Rövardotter.
Actually, I don't know what could the English name be for Ronja?
Robber daughter. Robber daughter.
But very strange. Yeah, but maybe it is.
Okay, so trolls live in the forest and they steal kids.
The troll mothers used to think that their own babies were so ugly, and they really wanted pretty children, so they used to steal farmers' kids and raise them as their own. Right. And swap babies and leave their own ugly baby in the crib.
Right, so a troll,
and sometimes
therefore.
These children came back after living in the forest for many, many years, and they were released back to the trolls. The trolls are not, in Lord of the Rings, you get this troll that are stupid and big, and but Swedish trolls are not.
Okay.
They were probably very clever creatures, and kind of warm-hearted, even if they despised their own babies.
So in this story with Sebastian, something is wrong with Sebastian. He lives in a bubble, and as a reader, or not me. Let's keep it personal. I, as a reader, immediately thought about there's this film, or it's a story. I think it was true, about a boy living in a bubble because he had this autoimmune disease. Yada yada. So that's initially what I thought.
All right.
And then but then there's a troll.
Yeah,
and I'm like, am I reading fantasy? And then, anyway, so before giving away the whole story, you chose it for a reason. So what struck you? Yes, it's about depression. You've given that away, so it's fine. So what struck you? Why is it a good story? Why should people read it?
I think we need to raise awareness about depression. We need to raise awareness about anxiety. And I have a child myself who is classified as a neurofunctional disorder child, I think. And how to treat people that are different and understand, even if you just feel like you're an introvert, and I consider myself a true introvert, and that I often get the feeling that we introverts live in a world of extroverts.
That's window dressing. The introverts, they do podcasts, and they refuse to have their face shown.
And I think, and considering now we read on social media how many artists have committed suicide. And I just watched, there is on Netflix about the Swedish DJ Avicii.
Yeah.
There is it's a very good documentary made long before he committed suicide. And how they just followed this poor guy and pushed him. And you really could see that he just wanted to live for the music. He wasn't an artist. He didn't want to stand up. He didn't want to talk to people. He didn't want to be on the scene. He just wanted to make music. But he got pushed around all these people until he just snapped.
So,
and I mean, most people don't snap, but
no, because
I think we need to raise awareness about giving people more space, being more considerate.
So how would a story like Sebastian and the Troll help with that?
I think the nice... I had to read now the line that I got stuck with. He couldn't explain then that he didn't think having fun seemed like fun.
Yeah,
that being happy didn't make him happy.
That's beautiful, eh?
Yeah. And I recognize that so much in myself. Because I know when I was a kid, what I wanted to do was to go home and read a book.
Yeah.
And my friends wanted to go home and play. Or parties. I never wanted to go to parties. I mean, I never understood why people think that fun is fun. It's not fun for me. I can't imagine anything worse than being in a room crowded with people who are just chatting aimlessly, and I don't know them. It's not fun for me.
Oh, I'm so going to rename this podcast, and I'm going to call it Introverts Unite.
Yeah. And I think, and thanks now to social media, we introverts also get a chance to meet other introverts.
True.
And we need to know that we are not alone.
So you think that... I agree, actually, because I said, I read the story and initially thought what I said, and I thought, oh, maybe this is fantasy. And then as you read, you realize something big is happening, something, very dark is happening.
Yeah,
And as you do so, you're taking, as a reader, you're taking down the path of understanding. And I guess how, what your situation in life is defines whether or not you get to the real understanding how it should feel, or how it feels for people who are like Sebastian and who are dealing with trolls that may or may not exist in real life. So yeah, in that sense, I do think, I agree, I do think more people should read this story. I urge everybody listening to the podcast to go online, go to the website of not just Hemingway.com and do read the story, because it's useful. Did your kids read it? Do they read English? Or Swedish?
Sorry? No.
They didn't?
No.
Would you recommend it to them? Come age?
When they probably when they're much, much older than they are now. No, I think it's a grown-up story. I mean, maybe the title, maybe he named it. It sounds like a child story. It sounds like a what do you call it, a Brother Grimm, something like that. But it isn't at all. I mean, this is about your own trolls, about
dealing with them,
about something much more serious. It's definitely only for grown-ups to understand.
Yep. And at the same time, like it's a short story. With a lesson, maybe with a punch.
And it gives you hope. It doesn't break you down and it wants to make you cry. No, it's a story filled with hope.
So what with the ending? Because we sort of, in short stories, possibly more than other writing, every word counts, and as such, title and last line are part of the short story experience, right? So what about the ending?
Should we give away the ending, or shouldn't we let people?
Well, maybe, yeah.
No, let's not say how it ends. Just say I think it's a story that inspires to hope, that you should always keep on struggling, that the struggle is worth struggling.
Yeah.
Even if you can feel down, even if there is help to be found, and if you're feeling depressed, you should reach out. I mean, there has been a lot of talk after this American television series, 13 Reasons Why. It was also about suicide.
Okay.
And have you seen it?
No, I'm
No,
looking in despair now because I've never even heard of it. Sorry, I live on a different stone.
It's a book that has been television, and it caused a cry out in America because it's about a suicide, about a girl who commits suicide, and people were saying this is about inspiring young people to commit suicide,
Right.
which was absolutely bullshit. It was nothing about that. So now for every episode, they have made a little, like before you take a medicine.
Yeah.
This story, please, if you're having these thoughts, you need to visit a doctor.
Yeah.
And so people are so afraid about talking about suicidal thoughts. And I thought it's a really important series, and especially if you have teenage kids. There's so many topics, but now we're not talking television series. I can't even remember why I got now into the certain reasons why.
Because it was about hope in the end of the story.
Yes.
So Sebastian, things are happening to him basically in the whole story. Things are happening to him, and he is of the opinion that what other people call fun to him isn't fun, and he's sort of being pushed to the edge.
Yeah.
Quite literally. And he lets it happen, but towards the end he acts. It's basically the first real act that happens in the story by him. So he chooses. And I think the turnaround in the story is that fact that he chooses, and obviously when you're suicidal you can do two things. There's not that many options. And I hope if people read it, they understand there is always options. And yes, I agree with you that towards the end it's positive. In a way that, he can look back. Literally, he is looking back, and there's like a little note, and he can take the note with him. And I'm sure in the story, the Sebastian that does not exist, but in the story, he does take that note with him. Do you agree?
Yes, I agree.
It's a lovely story. It really is a lovely story. I'm so excited that you came up with it, because otherwise I wouldn't have known. Like, I read his books. I had no idea he wrote short stories. So this is absolutely fascinating. So are you writing on another young adult?
I've written the second part, but I took a break to write something completely different together with a friend. And we just sent this manuscript away this Monday.
Oh, how exciting.
And it's going to be a good, something to feel good about. We wanted to write something cozy and nice that you lay on the beach and smile and, something.
Right. So you send me suicidal stuff, and then you go off.
But at home
happy, fluffy,
I'm writing.
pink stuff.
I'm writing.
Because I honestly, the way you think about it and the way you find words for this topic, I would assume, this is something great for you to explore in a novel. Yes,
definitely.
I'm not talking you into writing novels, because I think people should write short stories, but my unasked opinion.
Well, the sad thing is there is very little. There are very, very few publishers who publish short stories.
Tell me about it.
There is no market for short stories.
Depending on which country, by the way.
Yes, true. Well, this is for Sweden. There's they do a few pointless collections of short stories, mostly small publishers who ask writers to send in the stuff for free. But there's no. I think in America there is a much bigger market and lots of more
market, dedicated prizes. That's true.
Yeah.
So
and I mean,
here we are to
nice.
change all that.
Yes.
Okay. So when did you read the story first time?
It must have been just before Christmas.
And do you think about it often now? Also with the situation of your child?
It pops up several times. Yeah, it does. And also because I'm struggling myself with the depression, and I'm medicating, and that's why I also encourage everyone to seek help for depression, because I strongly believe that it can make you feel better to go and see a doctor.
Fair enough.
and I mean, people wouldn't. If people would meet me on the street, they would never think I'm depressed. I'm always hearing I'm so smiley and happy, but that's actually could also be a phase of depression, that you always manage to keep up a smiley, happy face in front of everyone.
And you feel like a cheat at the same time.
Yeah.
Now, before anybody thinks that all introverts are depressed, that's not true.
I think most of us are very happy.
I have to, the time is ticking. I could have talked for at least another 30 minutes. So, last question. What are you reading now?
I'm reading two. I always read 2-3 books at the same time. I was at the library and I found one of my favorite young adult writers, John Green and David Levitan. And I discovered they wrote a book together.
I know.
Called Will and Will.
Yeah, Will and Will.
So I had to pick that one.
Will Grayson, by the way. In English it's Will Grayson, Will Grayson.
Oh, all right. I just got the German translation. And I picked up A Handmaid's Tale by Margaret Atwood, which is much more heavy reading. Because it's also there's so much stuff now, talk about it and considering politics in America. And I wanted to read something.
It was written in 1984, I think.
Yeah, I know. But
it's insane.
Yeah.
Okay, I wish you all the best of luck with the reading. And to the listeners, thank you for listening to Not Just Hemingway. This was the podcast about short stories from all over the world. Come back often and feel free to subscribe or add the podcast to your favorite RSS or iTunes. Visit www.notjusthemingway.com for show notes, including the link to the story Sebastian and the Troll. You can also follow Not Just Hemingway on Twitter and Facebook.